Hi, so welcome everyone to this video. Today we're going to be doing a flow, but reasonably kind of slow, I guess, because it's quite sustainable. You're going to be thinking about quality over quantity of movements. So we'll sort of transition quite fluidly between movements, but ask you to really try and engage and lift everything in order to get there, rather than kind of just the transition becomes a thing that you don't really think about throughout the practice. Okay, so we're going to get started in a child's pose. You might need one block for this practice. If you have one handy, then grab one of those. Okay, let's get started. So just coming down into your child's pose, perhaps taking the knees nice and wide and the big toes to touch. Start to expand and spread through the fingers as you draw them towards the front of the mat. So maybe the forehead can place down onto the ground and start to spin the inner parts of the elbows towards the ceiling. So you're going to get kind of set up in your downward facing dog arms, and then with the hips sinking back towards the heels, so you can create that length into the sides of the waist and the QL muscles into the sides of the back. I'm just coming to observe any sensations. I'm trying to bring a little bit more space and openness, receptiveness into the mind. I'm starting to feel the breath expanding towards the inner thighs into the sides of the rib cage. And then on the exhale, that gradual deflation of the ribs as they draw back into the body. So just beginning to expand and increase the breath. Start to think about the breath filling into the back of the body. So there's always this association with the breath being in the belly and the chest. Just trying to fill the lumbar as you inhale and then drawing the air up into the rib cage, into the back of the body, and then all the way up between the shoulder blades towards the nape of the neck. And then on the exhale, gradually rolling all the way back down towards the tailbone. So taking a few more deeper inhalations like this. On your inhale, you're going to come up onto the fingertips. Just come to lift the head and try and lengthen out through the spine as you gaze forward. And on the exhale, rolling back down. So twice more, inhale to look up, retracting the shoulder blades a bit further down the back as you press into the fingertips. Exhaling down. Inhaling to lift. And exhaling down. I'm just going to come to walk the hands over to the right hand side. You're going to keep them that kind of shoulder distance apart. Try and plug back through the left sit bone. Maybe taking the gaze just underneath that elbow. Just like rolling and turning of the chest. Deep breath. And exhale. And on your inhale, gradually making your way back to the centre. Once again to lift and lengthen through the rib cage. Exhaling to fold. And then coming to walk the hands over to your left hand side. So this time perhaps taking the gaze underneath that elbow. Deep breath in. Exhale, just enjoying that lateral stretch coming across the back of the body. Deep breath. And exhale. Inhale, bringing the gaze back, followed by the hands, lifting through the chest. Exhale to plant the palms, and then bringing your weight up into tabletop position. So just checking in with the knees directly beneath your hips. So really filling that space of the lower back. So there's a slight tucking of the pelvis. Lifting the space in between the shoulder blades. I'm just going to make some figure of eights with your hips. Keeping a bit of engagement through the lower abdominals. So you keep the back lifted rather than concaving. Just beginning to feel into the hips. So taking some quite intuitive movements here, whatever the body is asking for. And just making sure you come to switch to the opposite side. Feeling into any cracks from the joints. How the muscles feel this morning or this afternoon. Nice full breath. Then we'll come to inhale, bring the gaze forward and tuck the toes. Exhaling back. Inhaling to lift forward, reach through the chest, engage the lower abdominals. Exhaling back. Inhaling forward. And exhaling back. So once again, inhaling to come forward, and this time making your way up into downward facing dog. So just walking out between the two sides, allowing a bit of spaciousness and openness to come into the back. So the shoulders are really switched on here, so they're kind of gripping around towards the front of the body, drawing the shoulder blades down the back. Inhale to bring the gaze forward. We'll slowly come into a plank. And then shifting the weight using the toes, take the knees down, pick up your toes as you slowly lower through halfway chaturanga. Placing the tops of the feet down, all 10 toenails to touch. Inhale to lift through the chest. Exhale, bring the chin down, really pick up the toes, press into the palms as you come up. And then come to tuck the toes as you send them back, lifting up through the knees and back into downward facing dog. Deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale, bring the gaze forward. Just going to walk or step the feet up to the top of your mat. Taking the feet hip distance apart, grabbing hold of opposite elbows as you take a little sway from side to side. I'm just going to keep that bend in the knees, release the arms, and take the hands to interlace behind the back. Allow the neck to drop, the palms to drop over the head. Inhale to lift to a flat back, and exhale to fold. Bend the knees as much as you need to. Inhale to lift. Exhaling to fold. Inhaling to lift. And exhaling to fold. So inhaling to lift once again, and then this time as you come to fold, just allowing everything to soften, taking a few long, deep inhales and exhalations. So just coming to release the hands and plant the palms either side of the feet. Then making your way to step back with that right leg as far as you can, softening the knee and the top of the foot down. Really start to lift through the chest, draw the shoulder blades down the back, find that length in the spine as you plug into the fingertips in your low lunge. So allowing the hips to sink a little bit deeper. And then coming to either plant your right palm down or using the block to place beneath that hand, start to spiral the chest over to the left hand side as you extend that arm up, really drawing that left rib cage on top of the right, keeping the sit bones plugged towards the ground, finding a bit of space in the top of that shoulder to the earlobe. And then coming to frame that front foot, keeping the block handy, making your way into a plank pose, nice and strongly pressing back through the heels, long line through the body. Come to shift the weight forward and back, keeping that long line of the body. And then we're going to come to gently release the knees down, lift up the toes, take that halfway chaturanga, bending the elbows to brush past the rib cage, inhaling to a small cobra, all 10 toenails pressing down into the mat, and the spinning of the inner thighs up towards the ceiling, opening up through the sternum, collarbones to separate, lift up your toes to come out through a reverse halfway chaturanga, tucking the toes as you bring the hips towards the heels, lifting the knees, making your way up into downward facing dog. So you're just taking a moment here, allowing a little bit more spaciousness to come, maybe making some movements that feel nice into the body at this moment. Bringing the gaze forward, and come to step that right foot and then the left foot all the way up to the top of the mat. Inhaling to lift to Adho Uttanasana, flat back. Exhaling to fully fold. And then coming to re-interlace the fingertips behind the back. Allow the palms to fall over the head. Maybe just swaying the head a little from side to side. Inhale to lift up, drawing the shoulder blades and tailbone to the back of the room. Exhaling to bend the knees and fold. Inhale, coming to let go of the palms, up to flat back once again. Exhaling to fully fold, stepping back with the left leg this time, placing the knee and the top of the foot down. So once again, finding that length through the chest, separating the collarbones. Sinking that left hip forward to try and create parallel hips to the front of the room. Full breath, length into the back of the neck. And full exhalation, nice long breath in. And then coming to perhaps use the block again on this side, this time placing the left hand. Inhale to spiral the chest as you reach the right arm up to the ceiling, opening up across the front of the chest. Plugging that right arm back into the shoulder socket whilst you extend through the fingertips. If you're turning the gaze up, keep the back of the neck long. Full breath. Long exhale. Deep breath in. And exhale, gently releasing the palm back down, just releasing the block away, making your way back into plank, nice and strongly pressing through the heels, reaching through the crown, and then coming to shift the weight forward and back once again, so nice and slowly here.
keeping the core engaged so that long line is maintained. And then coming to release the knees down, pick up the toes, brushing the elbows past the rib cage with control through halfway chaturanga. Inhale to small cobra, lengthen all 10 toenails to the mat away. And then slowly coming to bring the chin to the chest, relift the toes, make your way back through halfway chaturanga. And once again, tucking the toes as you bring the hips towards the heels, lift up through the knees, power up through the arms, and then slowly making your way to downward dog. Nice full breath, finding that length through the spine and downward facing. Full exhalation. Long breath, bring the gaze forward, and then coming to step the feet all the way up to the top of the mat to fully fold. Inhaling to Adha Uttanasana, flat back. Exhaling to full Uttanasana. Inhale to interlace the fingertips as you bend the knees, this time having the opposite thumb on top, so you're sliding one row along. Allow the arms to come back over the head. Inhale to lift. Exhale to bend and allow the chest to come down. This time, inhale, release the fingertips, making your way all the way to Utkatasana, chair pose. So this is a wide-legged version if the feet are separated. Try and keep the heads of the hips in line with the knees. Find some length into the lumbar as your lower ribs draw down towards the hips, sinking into your seat, feeling the inner thighs active. Draw the shoulder blades down the back. Full breath in. Long exhale. Deep breath. Exhale, bring the palms together to fully fold. Inhaling to flat back. Exhaling to fold. Coming to step it back with the right leg. So perhaps sliding the foot a little bit further away this time. And then making your way into a high level lunge. So we're going to have the feet about hip distance apart. You want to squeeze the inner thighs towards the midline. This is going to help to bring a bit more parallel into the pelvis. Try and fill the space of the lower back. So you might want to bend slightly into the right knee to allow the tailbone to roll towards the ground. Elevate and reach through the arms as you extending them up. Full breath. Exhale, come to frame that front foot. Inhale to peel the left arm up towards the ceiling. Opening up the chest to that side of the room. Stacking the shoulders. Maybe taking the gaze up to that left hand. Full breath. Exhale, come to turn the palm towards the front of the room and draw it alongside that ear. Try and keep the shoulder blade rolling down the back and lengthen to the back of the neck. Make sure the feet are still firmly planted, even weight distribution. And then bringing that palm back to the outside edge of the foot. Just going to grab the block and place it inside your left leg. So a couple of options here. You're going to set up in your warrior 2 legs as you ground that right heel, toes in 45. Maybe keeping the hand down onto the block as you extend the right arm up, or you can bring the forearm onto that front thigh. So whichever one's working for you and dependent if you have a block or not. So try and find some spaciousness into that right side of the body as you extend and reach through those fingertips, and then turning the palm towards the front of the room to draw it into your full extended side angle arm alongside the ear. Deep breath. Keep plugging into that back leg. So feeling that the outer edge of the right foot is plugging down. Inhale to make your way into full Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2 pose. Really settling into that external rotation of both hips and feeling the long line of the heart over the pelvis and the head over the heart, shoulder blades drawing down the back. Inhaling. And for exhale, Inhale to flip your left palm, extend the chest forward. Exhale, reverse the warrior. Right arm's going to slide down that leg or come to hook onto the front of the left thigh for that half bind. Deep breath. Exhale. Inhaling, making your way back to the center, and then coming to frame that front foot, coming up onto the balls of the right toes, removing the block away for the moment, and placing that knee back down. So just coming to find a thigh stretch here by bringing the heel up towards your hip. You can either keep the left fingertips down to the ground, or if that feels like way too much on the quad, placing the right hand onto the small of the back and then lifting that leg. And just bringing the gaze back over the shoulder. So just keep breathing into the stretch. It's a nice long breath in. Full exhalation, inhaling, releasing the toes back down, gently bringing yourself all the way back to frame that front foot, and then we'll walk the hands back to come into a runner's lunge. So you're extending the heart space forward, the crease at the top of that left hip is rolling back, pressing into the pads of the fingers, reach through the chest. Try and turn the knee so it's facing the ceiling along with the toes. And lengthen that leg out as much as is comfortable. And you can feel the left leg drawing back into the hip socket. So find a bit more length in the chest if you can, and then coming to walk forward into that low lunge. So we're going to make our way into lizard lunge by toe heeling that left foot out to the left hand side. Inhale to find some length through the chest. On the exhale, maybe walking the hands a step further away and just gauging with the elbows as you draw that chest down a little bit further towards the ground. So remembering you can always dial back here, just making sure that it's working for you and your breath. Finding a bit more spaciousness within the hips with the breath. Just holding here in this more introspective pose for a few more breaths. And when you're ready to do so, walking the hands back underneath the shoulders, coming to retuck the right toes as you elevate that knee. So we're going to keep the right hand grounded and the left palm is going to come to the inside of that thigh. Start to rotate the chest towards the ceiling as you press back through that right heel, opening up into the chest. Finding that you can still keep the foot grounded, so there's a bit of resistance here with the thigh against the palm. Maybe coming to lift that arm up and back alongside the left ear. Keeping the breath nice and full. Extending and energizing through the fingertips. And then coming back to bring both palms inside the leg, coming up onto the left tip toes, and then coming back into your plank pose with control. And then making your way by dropping the knees down Halfway chaturanga as you pick up the toes, bending the elbows to brush past the ribs. Inhaling to small cobra, all 10 toenails to press down. And then on the exhale, coming to retuck the toes. Lift up the toes, make your way back through halfway chaturanga. And then tucking the toes, drawing the hips towards the heels, powering up through the arms, lifting the knees, and then making your way to full downward facing dog. So just taking some nice full inhales and smooth long exhalations, finding a little bit of stillness in your downward dog, a bit more spaciousness, width coming between the shoulders and the lower back. And then bringing the gaze forward, and we'll just come to step the feet up to the top of the mat to fully fold over the legs. So we're going to take the feet hip distance apart once again. Inhaling to flat back. Exhaling to fully fold. Bend the knees as much as you need to. And then coming to interlace the fingertips behind the back once again, allowing the palms to drop back over the head. So on the inhale, coming to a flat back, look up and lengthen. Exhaling to fold, bending the knees. Finding some softness and some stillness here. Inhaling to bend the knees heavily as you bring the arms back, release the hands, sweep them either side of the feet, coming to that variation of chair pose once again, so meaning that the feet are hip distance apart. Try and keep the knees facing the front of the room, engage through the thighs, find some length into the lower back, flatten the shoulder blades down away from the ears and extend and reach through the fingertips, sinking down a bit lower into your hips. Nice long inhales and full exhalations. Make sure the abdominals switched on, slowly coming to fully fold. Plant the palms, inhaling to flat back and exhaling to fully fold. So this time we're going to step it back with the left leg, making your way nice and slowly into your high lunge. So make sure you've got your stance set up correctly, feet hip distance still. Softening into that left knee, find some length into the lower back as you draw the tailbone down to the ground. Feel the inner thighs engage as you extend the arms up towards the ceiling. Can the crease at the top of the right thigh feel like it's rolling towards that side of the room? And keeping the knee tracking over that heel. Find some lift and elevation into the sides of the body. Exhale, coming to frame that front foot. So this time coming to peel the right hand up towards the ceiling, opening up the chest, so feeling that rib cage spiraling on top of the left. Keeping the strength and stability in the legs so you can find a bit more length through the torso. Keeping a tuck of the chin. Exhale, come to bring that hand inside the foot. So once again you might reach for your block as you set up with those warrior 2 legs for extended side angle. So the two options once again, to either keep the hand on the block inside the foot as you open up that left arm. So what we're really looking for is that spiraling of the rib cage to create more openness into the left side body. You can also bend the elbow and bring that forearm up onto the thigh if that's more comfortable. Keeping the shoulder blade down the back and sort of avoiding the chest from collapsing forward. And then coming to turn the palm and draw that arm alongside the ear, seeing if this can create a little bit more length, a little bit more space between each rib. And just breathing into the posture. And then with control, powering up through the legs, making your way all the way into Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2 pose. Allow the shoulder blades to flatten down the back. Find that length into the spine, and once again, feeling the lumbar spine filling out with that slight rolling under of the pelvis. Flipping the right palm, reaching the arm back overhead for reverse warrior. Nice full breath. Exhale, coming back to the center. And coming to frame that front foot. And just removing the block away. Making your way down onto that left knee. So we'll come onto that thigh stretch on this side. So once again, you might take your left hand back towards your ankle, or you can take the left hand into the small of the lower back and find that rotation through the chest, and just gauge how far you want to lift the foot away to allow a stretch to come into the thigh without it being too intensive. So remembering that in yoga it doesn't have to be at your maximum stretch every time, and in fact dialing back can help the body to release more gradually. So I'm going to come into a runner's lunge now, sending the hips back with the left toes still tucked. Extension and lift coming through the chest over that outstretched right leg. Flick up the right toes towards the ceiling and try and roll that right hip crease towards the back of the room. Really focus on creating more length into the spine as you come to fold. So just rounding through the spine here isn't going to sort of create the kind of opening that we're after. So not worrying how far you come down. If you have two blocks, it's very handy to place them underneath the hands for this one. Just keeping the breath nice and deep before coming to rebend into the knee and creep the hands forward, coming into a low lunge and lifting through the heart. And then making your way into a lizard lunge by toe heeling the right foot towards the right edge of the mat. Just keeping the knee tracking on top of the heel. Inhale to find some length through the chest. Then on the exhale, maybe walking the hands a step further away before bending the elbows in towards the body to start to lower the chest. Just making sure that you're in a place that feels like it's in between effort and ease. You can always dial back if it feels a bit too intense. And just knowing that the two sides maybe feel quite different from one another, which is perfectly normal. Finding a bit of stillness to really tune into the breath here. A little bit of introspection within the pose. And then gradually, when you're ready, bringing the palms back beneath the shoulders, re-tucking the back toes. And we're going to come to keep the left palm planted this time, placing the right hand inside that thigh. Starting to turn the chest up towards the ceiling, finding some openness across the collarbones, maybe extending that arm back alongside the ear. Nice full breath and long exhalations. And then coming to place both palms down. And we'll come to step it up into Malasana, so yogi squat. And just starting to find that external rotation into the hips. You might want to use the blocks under the heels, or you might just keep the heels lifted here, so you're on the tiptoes. You can find the space into the spine, creating a nice length into the back. And just making sure that the arches of the feet are lifted and engaged. Maybe taking the hands into your prayer. I'm going to come to place the palms down here, shift the weight forward. And if you wish to play with your Bakasana crow pose, you can always come into that from here and then take a jump back into plank. If not, just stepping back into plank like I am before coming to bring the knees down, lift up through the toes, make your way through that halfway chaturanga. Lengthen the tops of the feet away, all 10 toenails to touch, lift through the chest. And exhale, lifting up the toes to press through reverse, halfway chaturanga. Tuck the toes, send the hips towards the heels, and power up through the arms before making your way fully into your downward dog. Just finding some stillness and some broadness here, length into either sides of the waist. And rolling the tops of the shoulders back. Inhale to shift the weight forward, come up onto the tiptoes, making your way all the way down into child's pose. So maybe the forehead comes down, you might want to just sway a little from side to side and find that comfortable positioning. So really just tuning back into the breath and into the mind, allowing that stillness. And then coming right up onto the fingertips as you bring the gaze forward, lengthen up through the chest, and then we'll slide the right hand underneath the left. So you're coming to this thread the needle pose from child's pose. If this feels slightly restrictive, you might want to take the knees a bit wider away from one another to allow a bit more space for that rotation of the chest. And gently making your way back to the center and then over to the other side. So you're just going to keep on the fingertips of that left hand as you thread the hand through, pressing into the back of the hand. Allow the rotation of the chest. Then keep plugging that right shoulder down towards that left hip. So feeling into that lateral stretch here. Just taking a few breaths in and out, finding some softness in the stillness before making your way back to the center. Inhaling to lift through the chest and lengthen, and exhaling to fold back into your child's pose. I'm coming to place the palms back down to the mat. You might bring the hands together and take that reverse prayer behind the head, the thumbs coming down onto the nape of the neck. You're just using this for this time of relaxation, of contemplation, finding some length into the lower back as the shoulder blades broaden, softening the breath with the forehead against the mat. So perhaps noticing any differences from now, from the start of the practice. See if you can find a bit more stillness and softness, allowing the breath to come back to its normal pattern and rhythm. I invite you to either stay here for a bit longer, maybe coming into a more traditional Shavasana pose for the end of the practice. I thank you very much for joining me today, and if you'd like to sign up to my YouTube channel, Sanskar Yoga, for more videos like this. See you next time.